What's up, guys? Here are my predictions for UFC Fight Night Fresno this weekend. Not too bad of a card. There's some newcomers in there. There's some guys coming from the contender series, so that's going to be pretty interesting to see how these younger fighters do. There's quite a bit of fighters in the card that I don't know too much about, and I'm going to cover less fights than usual because I did do the Rigondeaux and Lomachenko prediction. So I'm just going to cover the last three fights of the card, the top three fights. I'm going to start with Marlon Moraes versus Aljamain Sterling. Now this is going to be an interesting fight. They're both very close in rank. And this is also a pretty important fight because the bantamweight division is starting to get slimmer and slimmer in terms of who's going to challenge for the belt. Because it seems that TJ is going to go to flyweight, most likely, right? That's going to leave a bunch of contenders to fight each other. And the winner of this fight, I would not be surprised if they fight one of the top contenders after. So Marlon Moraes is more of a well-rounded fighter. He's explosive, throws a lot of strikes on the feet. He wings at punches sometimes. He has good takedowns as well, good takedown defense, which is going to be important for the fight. He has submissions as well and everything, but he really likes to keep it on the feet and use that explosiveness. He has devastating leg kicks. His left hook is pretty precise at times too. But I think in this fight he's going to try to keep it standing. I would be a little bit surprised if he tries to take Sterling down because I think Marlon Moraes is going to have the bigger advantage on the feet. Being more explosive and having more variety of strikes. He throws a lot more different kind of strikes than Sterling does. Whereas Sterling is more of a kicker and uses longer boxing, and he likes to stay on the outside range. He's either all the way out or all the way in, and when he's all the way in, he's really looking to set up for a takedown. Because Sterling's biggest strength is the grappling, on the bottom or on top, it doesn't matter. He's excellent with submissions. He's a really good wrestler, good BJJ as well, training with Ray Longo and Matt Serra and Chris Weidman and all those guys over there. His striking has been developing, but I don't think he's going to have the striking advantage in this fight. But his grappling advantage will show if he goes that route. He's a strong bantamweight as well. Long with his arm reach and leg reach. Longer than most bantamweights. But doesn't have too much power on the feet. But he's really good at keeping distance and not getting hit. He has really good striking defense as well. So my prediction for the fight, I'm going to go with Marlon Moraes, but this is actually a really close fight, I believe. It can go either way, but I'm going to go with Moraes being the more well-rounded fighter, and his takedown defense, I think, is going to prevail. If he gets taken down, that's going to be huge trouble for him, but I think he might be able to stand up as well if he doesn't show his back or anything to Sterling. And I think he's going to be able to keep it on the feet, catch Sterling with different kind of shots, and not being too aggressive to the point where he gets taken down, but I think he's going to land shots, back away, keep distance, and always be cautious of the takedown as he's striking to win a decision. Then we go to Jason Knight versus Gabriel Benitez. This is actually going to be a pretty fun fight. Both of these guys really throw down when they go in there. Jason Knight taking this fight after fighting Ricardo Lamas, who was one of the top contenders of the division, so he's taking it back a little bit, a lot back actually, fighting an unranked Benitez. Now Jason Knight's a tough fighter, pretty tall for the division. His style resembles a lot of Donald Cerrone. Muay Thai on the feet, that traditional stance, keeps his hands high, lifts his leg to check kicks at all times, and likes to throw that front kick as well, and really good with leg kicks and setting up punches to throw the leg kick. His jab is excellent as well. He does have pretty good power on the feet too. Good chin and amazing heart. And his ground game is dangerous as well, especially off his back. Now his takedown offense is there as well. He's a well-rounded fighter. But off his back, if you're in his guard, it's a lot of trouble. Good with getting those triangles. Excellent with the arm bars. Good at sweeping as well. Getting on top of his opponent. He's going to have the advantage, I think, in most areas against Gabriel Benitez. I don't think it's a good fight for Benitez, but he could surprise everybody. You never know. Benitez comes into this fight. He likes to back up to the cage a lot. He allows his opponents to pressure him, and that's going to be dangerous against a guy like Knight. He's more of a boxer, and he's the strongest actually on the ground with his submissions. But on the feet, he likes to move back and use his boxing skills. He likes to throw hooks over the guard of his opponent. But really, I don't see anywhere where he's going to have the advantage or where he's going to actually beat Knight. I think Knight is going to have the advantage in all areas. In the clinch if he wants, at a distance on the feet and close on the feet, pressuring Benitez, landing leg kicks constantly. Even with the boxing, I think Knight is going to have an advantage there as well. On the ground, he could take him down. Benitez is known to be taken down a little bit easier, but I think Knight's going to keep it on the feet though. But if it goes on the ground either way, Knight is going to be super dangerous on the ground. So my prediction for the fight, I'm going to go with Jason Knight, and I'm going to go by a decision or a second round TKO. Then we go to the main event and the fight everybody's looking for. Cub Swanson versus Brian Ortega. This is one of the most important fights in the whole division. Because let's say Cub Swanson goes out there and just beats Ortega. He has a stake to the title shot, right? Now, if Brian Ortega goes out there and starches Cub Swanson, he does too. It's kind of open right now for Max Holloway. People are saying Frankie Edgar is getting a next title shot, and I think that might be true. But you never know. He could be still injured. He might need more recovery time. And the winner of this fight might get the title shot. So, if that's the case. But if not, I think they're after Frankie. So, this fight, it's a pretty close fight, I believe. But you got Cub Swanson, who's extremely wild, unorthodox, great cardio, good power, very fast. His striking is extremely wild. Everything is almost full power. Even his jabs. Even his jabs are meant to stun you. All of his hooks, all of his haymakers come from his waist. Wings him out at the opponent. And he switches stances as he does it. And he's one of the best fighters at using that momentum of switching stances as he strikes to get angles on the opponent and actually defend shots as well. He's able to get on the outside of punches and counter them by carrying that momentum through. He does it with kicks as well, like those cartwheel kicks. And he carries the momentum by throwing the cartwheel kick, continuing his spin to land a straight right hand, or sometimes he'll throw a spinning elbow to carry the rotation. He's good with all types of techniques though. He throws everything out there. He's extremely unorthodox. It's really hard to time what he's going to do. But now straight punches and be more basic and methodical on the feet could show some holes in Cub Swanson's stand-up game. And he fights pretty even in either stance, southpaw or orthodox, because he's always switching stances as he throws strikes. Now, he likes to stay in the orthodox stance more. Ortega's going to have to be cautious about those punches getting around his guard, and especially because Ortega likes to take that Philly shell stance at times. He likes to cover up on punches, and those angles on those punches, man, those can get right around the guard. And the best way, I think, to stop that is actually meet him, but with straight shots. Or take him down as he's throwing those winging haymakers. Because, safe to say, Cub Swanson wants no part on the ground with Ortega. He wants to keep it on the feet and use his skills there, even though Cub Swanson is more of a striker. So it works for him, but I don't think he wants any part on the ground with Ortega. Ortega might be the best BJJ fighter in the whole division by a considerate amount too. But if it gets there, Swanson is not some pushover on the ground. He is a black belt. He's good with standing up. He's really good at defending submissions at times. But like we saw in the Holloway fight, he can really get pressured on the ground like that. If he gets pressured by Ortega, if Ortega takes him down, that is, it could be problems for him. Because although he is a black belt, he isn't on the level of Ortega. And that might be the first time that Swanson has ever fought someone that's coming into the fight that everybody knows has a clear advantage on the ground. Now, Max Holloway, no one really thought that he was going to dominate Swanson on the ground like that. Everybody knows it about Ortega. Brian Ortega has been developing his striking a lot. Now, he is a BJJ fighter. That's his background. But his striking has come a long way. He likes to stand toe-to-toe with his opponents at times. He doesn't use too much footwork. He likes to just meet his opponents and stay in the pocket and roll with punches, slip punches, pull back on punches, and he likes to counter himself. He's good at coming around the guard of his opponents as well, but he has a much more basic fundamental striking than Cub Swanson, especially in the boxing where he excels more. Brian Ortega likes the boxing. He's good with knees though when the openings present themselves, and he's good with leg kicks as well at times. I wish he would throw a lot more kicks because no one's going to try to take him down, so that threat of getting pressure on top is not going to be there. But his boxing and his fundamentals are going to be key in this fight. Stick with straight punches or shots coming on the inside in tight hooks on the inside of Cub Swanson's huge, long, wide-ranging haymakers. Because they'll come on the inside, they have a shorter distance to travel, they'll connect on Swanson before Swanson's connects, if they throw at the same time, that is. And he'll be able to block him on the inside using his shoulders or his arms. And his retraction on the punches are going to be much faster as well, being able to throw combinations or back away from Swanson, or transition for a takedown. Now, it's interesting because Ortega in his last fight, especially, he took this more of a Philly shell style on the feet. His rear hand blocking the head and the left hand lower, and he was rolling with a lot of punches, similar to what Floyd Mayweather does. And it was working, but he did get caught with a couple shots. Now, his opponent was a bit longer. He's going to fight Swanson, who is pretty much the same size as him. And Swanson throws these haymakers, and they're going to be much easier to roll because he'll be able to see him coming from a farther distance because of really wide ranging. So he'll be able to roll with punches and maybe counter Swanson in there. In the clinch, I think Ortega might have a little bit of advantage as we've seen in the past because Swanson doesn't do too much in the clinch. He's good with controlling the opponent and putting him up against a cage or something, but he's not too offensive in there. He could be because he's extremely unorthodox, but we haven't seen it yet. But he's going to have to watch out for the knees of Ortega. And Ortega's ground skills, his BJJ is second to none. He does everything well. His submissions are almost, if he goes for a submission, it's almost 100% he's going to get it on. His precision on snatching submissions, his precision on getting through openings for transitions or reverses is absolutely excellent. You've seen it with the Moicano fight where instantly when it got to the ground, he sunk in the submission on Moicano and finished it. Now the thing about Ortega is he doesn't go for too many takedowns. He's not too active in that. He really tries to let the opponent take him down, or he snatches up some strike like a leg kick or something and probably takes him down off there. But he has gone and said that he wants to test his striking. Now, I don't think that's the smartest way to go against Swanson because Swanson is extremely dangerous and Ortega is going to have a clear advantage on the ground. So I would like to see him go for more takedowns in this fight, or set up takedowns at least. Go for precision rather than just try to power through Swanson. So my prediction for the fight, it's a tough fight to call. It's a really tough fight to call. I could be wrong here, but I'm going to go with Cub Swanson. I think his experience on the feet and his ability to go 5 rounds, a hard 5 rounds that is, and ability to find openings around the guard of his opponent, as well as all the aggression and overwhelming of attacks that he has on the feet, I think it's going to get through the defense of Ortega, and I don't see Ortega really taking down Swanson. I see him getting flustered out there by the constant attack of Swanson and the overwhelming assault, and I see him try to go for takedowns. I don't see him getting them. And then I finally do see Ortega start to get tired, and I see potentially a TKO in the 4th or 5th round by Swanson because Ortega is extremely tough. I mean, his chin is ridiculous. You see that in that Moicano fight. I mean, he took some big shots in the fight. None of them really seemed to bother him, to be honest. I mean, you saw on his face a lot of bruising and stuff, but he took it and just kept going through. I mean, he wears damage in terms of how it affects him, mentally and physically, that is. He takes it pretty well. So I see probably a late TKO, mostly due to the expending of energy of Ortega, trying to fend off and trying to keep up with Swanson. So yeah, those are my predictions, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe. For my next video, I'm going to break down one of the fights of the card. After that, I'm going to come out with my nightmare matchups for all the champions right now, the second in the series. So I come out with those a few times a year, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. This is going to be the second time this year I'm going to make it. So they're not too common. They're pretty rare. So be on the lookout for that as well. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to watch this card. It's going head-to-head with Lomachenko versus Rigondeaux. So make sure to watch this card as well. Really high stakes in this main event. And also for my podcast. Now, I have an idea to actually do it every other week. I think it's a little bit more efficient. And I think people enjoy it like that more. So people can gather ideas for the questions and then give them out every other week. And then a lot more fresher things to talk about. So actually leave a comment below what you guys think as well. Should it be weekly or bi-weekly? Now, I like to do it bi-weekly because I'll be able to get out other kind of content. I'm going to come out with the podcast every Tuesday. So the Tuesday after next week is going to be the next podcast. But what I'm going to do, even for this prediction video, because I know some people have questions that they want to ask, and they might forget about it if they don't have anywhere to post it. So I'm still going to have you guys reply your guys' questions under my comment that I'm going to pin. It's going to be labeled questions for podcasts or something. So I'm still going to do that. I'll go back all the way to here, and I'll see you guys' comments even now. Everybody can just get out their ideas if it just comes to them. So if you guys have a question, leave it down below. I'll answer it the week after next week. So I hope that it just works out for everybody. And I'll see you guys in the next video then.